local news that matters on Local 22 News.
At this place in history, we're in Northam with Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society, Steve Perkins. Steve, what brings us here today?
Well, first of all, if people aren't quite sure where this is, it's within the town of Shrewsbury, great little village, and we're at Pierce's General Store. And we're going to talk to Sally Deinzer about how it went from being a family-owned business to a great community cooperative.
1865 was the first store, and it was opened by Nathaniel Jones Aldrich. The Aldrich family, I believe, was from Plymouth, over the hill here. He was the owner just for a year or so. Then Willard Guild, who was a cousin of the Aldriches, ran it then for 10 or 11 years. Willie and Gertrude Pierce, who were Aldrich relatives, bought the store and started the Pierce store for the bulk of the 20th century. 2 generations of the Pierce family ran it, mom and dad, Willie and Gertrude, and then they had, I think, a total of 5 children, at least 3 of whom, and finally 2 of whom, were involved in the actual operation of the store. 1993, when Marjorie, who was the remaining family member, turned 90, she said, "I've done this long enough." Before she actually closed the store, she had twisted the arm of the Preservation Trust and said, "I want you to take ownership of this property when I die," and to sweeten the pot, she provided money to update the infrastructure, new plumbing, new electric, new roof, and so forth and so on. And then she said, "And I want you to find someone to reopen the store as a store, not a museum. I want it to serve the community." At the end of 2007, they sent out a request for proposals. They advertised in the Boston Globe, the New York Times, and locally, of course, to try to get people to come forward. A group of Shrewsbury residents, I was one of them, sort of got together and said, heck, we can form a co-op. It took a little bit of negotiating to convince the group of us that it was worth the risk and that we could do this. It took us about a year from the actual, okay, we're going to do it, to opening the door.
Why do you think it's so important for a place like this, which with such deep history roots, to be back open and up and serving the community?
Yeah, a lot of reasons. In our original business plan, you know, we talked about sustainability on a local level, and to be able to meet your needs locally if the road is out, or God forbid, you know, something worse than that happens. And that was true during COVID. Second reason is that community feeling, a center of information, a center of just putting a heart into the community, really.
At this place in history,